Welcome, welcome everyone around the world. Don't be alarmed that you don't see an image. I have the screen covered. Now I just want to mention this video here is not for children. It talks about some serious matters. This is actually a documentary that I'll be playing. I just watched it. I found this 10 minutes or so to be very, very informative and enlightening, and I figured I just want to share it with everybody as well. So I have the screen covered so that the initial image can't be seen. Okay, so I'm going to press play now. Hopefully I won't have to move all the equipment around. Hopefully I can just press the space bar, move the screen cover, and we can watch the documentary and learn something about the real King James. The King James who got the King James Bible written. Okay, that King James. All right, so here we go.
This is a very sad episode in history, actually, the 16th and 17th centuries, when not only here but on the continent also, literally thousands of women were executed as witches.
In 1590, young King James VI of Scotland brings the first witch hunt to the British Isles. Surrounded all his life by conspiracies against his mother, Mary Queen of Scots, King James would conduct one of the most infamous witch trials of the era.
James VI of Scotland was one of the most intelligent and open-minded monarchs ever to rule in the British Isles. He had an open and inquiring mind, and he was a superb writer. And before he went off to Denmark to get married, there is no sign that he was interested in the issue of witchcraft at all.
His marriage is arranged in 1589 to Denmark's Princess Anne.
They all
The
intermarried.
young king sets out across the North Sea to meet his bride.
Illuminati.
At first, the fleet makes good progress under clear skies. But then the ships are suddenly and curiously beset by furious storms. Rather than risk the return crossing, the king decides to winter in Denmark with his new wife. His stay there will profoundly affect the rest of his life.
He was having an intellectual sabbatical as well as a honeymoon, and he was talking to some of the hottest Danish academic minds who were preoccupied with the new problem of demonic witchcraft. And he absorbed his ideas straight from the very scholars who were processing the notion of the Satanic Crusade in its most virulent form.
After his return from Denmark, James becomes convinced he is the target of a satanic conspiracy.
Illuminati, I wonder why.
The Scottish court had always been a hotbed of treachery and political intrigue. The most serious threat coming from Francis, Earl of Bothwell, the king's cousin and rival for the throne.
They all intermarry, like I said before.
Documents confirm that King James suspects witchcraft is behind his cousin's treason. Soon, 3 women from North Berwick and the Earl of Bothwell stand accused. The king personally supervises their torture and prosecution.
Torture.
The North Berwick witch trials have begun.
Just begun.
James had a very good political motive for becoming keen on hunting witches, because not only did the idea that a satanic crusade is aimed against kings elevate his own claims to rule by divine right, but he also, arguably, wanted to curb the power of one great powerful noble, Bothwell, his own relative. And it was Bothwell who was brought to book for the incident of the North Berwick witches.
The king draws up charges against Bothwell and ensures that they're well publicized.
All because of a storm when the king was on his boat. Torturing, killing people.
And if any such thing may be proved against him, he is here to endure the law.
The actual written indictment is over 4 feet long. Among other accusations, Bothwell is alleged to be the leader of a satanic conspiracy against the throne. In his campaign to destroy Bothwell's reputation, James orders a local priest, Carmichael, to chronicle the trials.
True discourse of the apprehension of sundry witches lately taken in Scotland, with a particular recital of their examinations conducted in the presence of His Majesty, to the end that their detestable wickedness which they privily had pretended against the king should come to light.
Besides Bothwell, another of the accused is Agnes Sampson, a local healer and midwife, known as the Wise Woman of Keith.
Agnes Sampson raised the devil and said to him she had something to do concerning a law.
Black gown and a skull bonnet emblazoned on his head.
That is, that she consulted with the devil.
Eric, and at the New Haven.
It's very difficult to say how much real witchcraft was happening in Lothian at the time that James descended upon North Berwick. There is a clue, perhaps, in part of the confession of Agnes Sampson, who was reputed to be a healer in the neighbourhood. And although
They have all these
most
books from the
people accused of
1500s,
witchcraft and the great witch
1600s.
trials don't seem to have any kind of dealings with magic. In these cases, such as Agnes, you do find somebody who made a reputation for curing human and animal diseases and working good magic, being shocked as an obvious target for working bad magic.
It was all well documented.
James Kirkcaldy's wife
Curing Robert Kerse in Dalkeith.
taking away by witchcraft of the pain and sickness of the Lady Hermiston, the night of her child's delivery.
Like so many before her, Agnes Sampson confesses under torture.
Torture.
She tells of setting to sea with 200 other witches in sieves. Upon coming ashore, they dance and sing to the tune of a Jew's harp. Finally,
She had to make this up under torture, all because King James went through a storm while at sea. Tortured so many people to death and forced them by torture to make up these stories. That she drowned a cat at sea with 200 witches.
Made the king most curious, and he sent for the player who upon the said Jew's harp did perform the said dance before His Majesty, who in respect of the strangeness of these matters, took great delight to be present.
Agnes Sampson's confessions of attempts on the king's life become more and more extravagant as the trial wears on.
They took a cat and christened it, and afterward bound to each limb of that cat the chiefest part of a dead man and several joints of his body. And on the night following, the said cat was conveyed to the middle of the sea by all these witches sailing in their sieves. This done, there did arise in the sea such a tempest as a greater hath not been seen.
This was the storm that nearly shipwrecked King James on his voyage to Denmark.
See?
But there would be yet more attempts on his life.
Agnes Sampson affirmed that she, in the company of 9 other witches, convened in the night with the devil their master standing in their midst. A body of wax shapen and made by Agnes Sampson and wrapped in a linen cloth was first delivered to the devil, who, after he had pronounced his verdict, delivered it to Agnes Sampson, and she to her next.
This was all made up under torture. Like, they showed the instruments of torture earlier.
The body of King James VI, ordained to be consumed at the instance of a nobleman, Francis Earl of Bothwell.
I've read the story about the North Berwick witches, and I certainly think that there was a real coven working there, and I think that Francis Earl Bothwell very probably was the so-called devil, the male leader of it.
Wouldn't surprise me because they're all Illuminati.
In the story of the way that they made the wax image, in particular, how they held it and handed it from one to another in the circle, because I have actually taken part in present-day witchcraft rituals with a wax image, in which we did exactly that.
It is very hard to believe, having sifted through the evidence in detail, has now been done, that there was a real plot by local Scotswomen and or the Earl of Bothwell to destroy James by magic. What we see instead is a show trial on a Stalinist scale, but employing, just as true Stalinists did, popular fears as well as learned stereotypes.
Agnes obviously just knew what certain witches did and had to spout it out
Agnes
on their
and
torture.
the other Berwick witches are burned at the stake on Castle Hill, Edinburgh, in August 1593. The Earl of Bothwell escapes to Italy, where he ends his days in exile.
Now listen what King James did. It says it all.
10 years later, James assumes the crown of England as James I and supervises the first English translation of the Bible. He brings his obsession with witches to the task.
James not only claimed divine authority for what he did, he actually rewrote divine authority in the process, in that his authorized version of the Bible, which was to be the standard one in England right up to within living memory, translated Hebrew terms for poisoner and the worker of particular spells under the blanket term of witch, thereby giving a general command to destroy witches.
The Scottish king and his Danish queen dislike the formalities of the London court, but develop a love for English theatre. William Shakespeare writes a play for James that draws
Francis
upon the king's
Bacon,
obsession with
Freemason.
witches.
He edited the King James Bible. That's why it's got thus and hither and
The
thence.
tragedy of Macbeth
That was all
is
made
the
up
tale
by
of a Scottish
Shakespeare.
nobleman inspired by witchcraft, who assassinates his king and usurps the throne.
So anyways, before I end the video, I just want to say I was watching this documentary because I was bored. And after learning that about King James, I just felt like I had to share that with the people, because even I didn't know these things about King James. I knew that he altered the Bible. I just thought it convenient that they actually included some evidence of that in the video here. But we can also see that King James was a paranoid psychopath who did not withhold his hand from causing others to be tortured, to confess the things they never did, tortured people, burned people alive, men and women. Wouldn't surprise me if he did it to young children as well, who they accused to be witches. King James was nothing but a psychopath, a tyrant, and a lunatic. That's all he was. And he was a blasphemer because he altered the word of God to suit his own selfish desires. And the fact that people today even regard the King James Bible is pathetic. But the fact that there's people out there who swear to the King James Bible only, these people are the lowest of the low. One of the best examples of human ignorance in its truest sense. But anyways, I really hope that people can learn from this little glimpse into King James's life. Not to mention all the other things, like notice how King James and the royals of France and the royals of Denmark, hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 miles apart from each other or more, how they're all of the same relations. From my studies into things, without saying too much in this video before I close, like I said, it can be summed up in one word: Illuminati. Almost every single royal kingdom throughout Europe and most of the known world back then, they were all related, they were all blood relatives, because it was one big family tree running the shots in every nation. They had all the money, they wrote all the rules, all the laws. Go look at all these European flags that have kingships and monarchies and ones that used to have them. All the flags will have the cross on it. But in almost all cases, the cross will be tilted or on its side or something like that there. Some of them have a normal upright cross. Most of these flags will have other marks or insignia to show that they are all these related families. This is no secret. This is just a fact. It's not a conspiracy. Okay, but it's a fact that's not openly brought to light, but it is a fact. It's a recorded fact of history. Okay, they wrote the rules in these nations. They made all the taxes. They made the difference between the rich and the poor, the nobleman and the peasant. They're the ones who installed all of this. The kingdoms didn't exist before them. And they were the ones who installed the kingdoms with the laws, the divide between rich and poor, where the poor get taxed out of oblivion and the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. This is the system that they designed so that the plebeians will do work for them like cattle. And the plebeians get paid nothing. They live like animals, the peasant people, and even the middle class, which is an artificial creation. All of these things are created by these elite noble class who, due to whatever influence, probably from the devil himself, they gain power and authority on the earth and the ability to extend their tentacles into every other neighboring country and take that one over and oppress the people and set up economies and all this and that there, while the kings and the monarchs just get richer and richer and richer. So I just wanted to shed some light on that too. King James was 100% part of all of that. And we saw some nice little pieces of evidence in this neutral documentary. The documentary that had nothing to do with, all that side of things. This was a documentary on the witch hunt. Okay, so I just think it's striking that Denmark and France, and they were all cousins, and I already knew this anyways. Even Russia, okay? The ancient czars and all of them, they're all related. They're all related. It's quite crazy. But anyways, folks, hope everybody learned about the real King James from here. All right, so everybody take care.